Hello, you each have a packet of fractions, number line fractions that hopefully will help you to understand fractions a little bit. On the GED, there are some questions that have to do with the order of fractions and the order of rational numbers. A rational number is a fraction. It could also be a decimal. In terms of rational numbers or fractions, let's take a look at what you would be expected to know. The first thing is that you would need to know how to order numbers, rational numbers. They might give you a series of fractions such as 1/2, 1/3, or 1/4, and so forth. And your job is to make sense of what that looks like. Well, I believe that these materials will really help you to see the relationship of fractions and to see that some fractions, even though their denominators are large, like the 1/8, they really are a smaller fraction than if you would take a look at 1/2. So it seems to be the opposite of what you would normally be thinking. Then, as we take a look at this, another piece of information that you can do is to take a look at these fractions and to say, how can I add or subtract fractions using this? And understand that you need a common denominator. So let's take a look at this. Suppose I wanted to add 1/3 and 1/8 together. Well, this is PolyPad. It is it's an online virtual manipulatives that you could use at home if you don't have all of these sets. However, these materials would hopefully help you to visualize it as well. So let's add together these two things. And our job then is to try to find a common denominator, a common way of thinking about this. You don't want to go through and say 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/2. So let's take a look at this. 1/3 plus 1/2, and here you go. It's going to be 5/6. You can see it right here. So it really does help, I think, in finding common terms. Now let's sort of separate these. Suppose I wanted to do 1/6 plus 1/3. Okay, in this case, I put the 1/3 together with the 1/6, and I have those together. And then I start at the top here, and I say, what can I actually be? And here it is, 1/2 is equal to all of this. And so why? Well, you can see that you now have 3/6, and it becomes something, I think, that altogether that would work. So let's take a look at subtraction a little bit. If you would have something like 1/4 and you wanted to take away 1/8 from that, here's the 1/4, here's the 1/8. And if you wanted to take away one of those eighths, here's 1/4. If you wanted to take away one of those 1/8, now you are left with 1/8. So it really helps students to visualize or people to visualize fractions. And although you might say, okay, this is all well and good, but what about multiplication? Well, in multiplication, suppose I said I wanted 1/2 of this 1/4 piece. So what's 1/2? Okay, I can now take a look at this and I can put this a line down here because I want 1/2 of it. So here's the one, oops, here's the 1/2, okay? Let's get rid of that too. So here's the 1/2. That over a little bit. Okay. So here's 1/2 of 1/4. What's 1/2 of this 1/4 piece? Well, I would think, okay, let's move it together here like that. I would think that that's equal to 1/8. So you can even do division, you can do multiplication of fractions, addition, subtraction, and you can visualize why you would do what you're doing. And there we go. And now we're back to this. So I hope that you can see that by visualizing fractions, you can understand the order of fractions. Just because the denominator is large does not mean that the fraction is. And also that you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Would you have this on the GED? No, unfortunately, it's not in the section of formulas that you are given. However, on the GED, you can create something like this just to sort of like secure how you're thinking about things. In any event, I hope you're doing well and continued success.